to the Maui Gym Maui Invitational, another spectacular day on the Valley Isle in the 50th state of Hawaii. And we have a consolation bracket matchup for you. Michigan taking on host Chaminade, two teams that lost in the first round of the Maui Invitational. As you see, one of the teams already punched a ticket to the championship game tomorrow night. That is 6th ranked Wichita State. Michigan Chaminade, however, trying to get in the win column here on Maui. Alongside Dan Dockich, I'm Kanoa Leahy. So host Chaminade, they fell to Notre Dame in the opening day yesterday. Michigan, they were up 9 on LSU with about 5 minutes remaining. They would go on to lose that game 77-75. Not for a lack of effort, though, from Charles Matthews, the Kentucky transfer, going for a career-high 28 points and 8 rebounds.
Yeah, he was terrific, and really, he was the only guy that was able to get going. I thought LSU, very underrated, vastly underrated. LSU can play. We're going to see him in the second game against Notre Dame. It should be great.
The Wolverines win the tip. This becomes, on day 2 in the consolation bracket, a matchup of who has the better short-term memory loss. Well,
Michigan has better players, so that should help with the memory loss. But I'll tell you this, Chaminade can play. Like Chaminade, after about the first 8 minutes, figured it out offensively. They just didn't have enough for the high-powered offense of Notre Dame, but these guys can go a little bit. Like this.
Dantley Walker trying a hefty 3. He hit a couple early ones versus Notre Dame on day 1. He knocks down that deep one.
Scholarship player at UNLV, played a few minutes. Now he's here with Chaminade, and man, I tell you what, he can make baskets from deep.
That one tapped out of bounds. It will stay here with the Wolverines. Both teams suffering their respective first losses of the season yesterday. Michigan coming in now 3-1 on this young year, and Chaminade 2-1. Muhammad Ali Abdur-Rahman finds right corner. Charles Matthews still feeling it here on Maui.
I'm telling you, confidence is something. Basketball, as Coach Knight used to tell us, the mental is to the physical as 4 is to 1. So 4 times mental as it is physical, and Charles Matthews has it going right now mentally.
Grant Dressler, step back 3 try. Misses that one wide right. Rebound off to Moritz Wagner. Here's the freshman, Eli Brooks, who gets the start here on day 2 of the Maui Invitational.
It's been a 3-pronged attack with this kid here, Brooks, who just solidified his spot a little more for at least a few minutes. Simmons, who transferred from Ohio University, was an all-MAC player, and a holdover, Xavier Simpson, highly recruited kid, sophomore out of Lima Senior High School.
That's Austin Pope. He's the starting point guard for Chaminade, according to head coach Eric Bovair, their best all-around talent.
The reason Brooks is getting the start is because even though he's a freshman, that right there, he has a better understanding of the offense and the defense. He just has it figured out for Coach Beilein, and playing point guard for Coach Beilein is not the easiest thing. By the end of the year, you know, he will have put in 250 or more different movements within their offense. He starts with the basics and then adds and adds and adds, and Brooks has figured it out better than the others.
So Wagner to the free throw line. The foul called against Dantley Walker. And Wagner misses the first attempt. He had 24 in that game last night. The loss to LSU was 3 of 7 from outside the arc, and that was a good sign. He had been 1 of 10 on the season prior to that one.
Yeah, you know, water finds its level, so he's not going to shoot 10% on the year. He's going to be somewhere around 38 to 40%. So he's got a string of makes coming.
So early 7-3 advantage here for the Wolverines. Eric Shive gets it in deep position, unable to hit from right out in front of the rim. Shive is a big fella, 6'10", 240-pound junior. And there is Mr. Matthews once again.
Yeah, I like what Michigan's doing. Michigan's pushing the ball better and attacking. They're not letting and stopping their offense and getting set up. They're not letting Chaminade play any defense. They're just going.
Brett Reed now with it, being guarded by Matthews. Pope on the drive. And good defense there by the freshman Eli Brooks, and we'll have a whistle against Chaminade on the rebound.
Yeah, this is what you need to do. Shots missed. Matthews takes it. Everybody's running hard. You see Duncan Robinson on one side, Mohamed Abdul-Rahman. This is what Michigan likes to do. Get a high ball screen, top of the key, and go to the rim. And if somebody helps, fine for a three.
And really the area of concern for Chaminade. They have some size. This is the largest team that Eric Bovaert has fielded in his now 7th season as head coach. But that said, the wing players, the athleticism that Michigan brings to the table here, going to be tough for the Silver Swords to keep up with.
Michigan is an athletic team, particularly with Matthews playing this way. But I will say this for Coach Bovaert. When he was at West Liberty, which is in West Virginia, he attended and worked John Beilein's camp. So he's very familiar with what John Beilein does offensively. The problem is Beilein's got really good players.
Braden Colliker, transfer from Colorado State, off the mark there. Chaminade scored the first bucket of 3. It's an 11-0 Michigan run since, and Matthews sliding across the hardwood. There was a good look at Eric Bovaert, as you mentioned, worked the John Beilein camp when Beilein was at West Virginia. Bovaert, as a player, was also a 2-time All-American in that part at West Liberty.
He's one of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Like, so many coaches are incredibly self-important. He is not, and neither is John Beilein. John Beilein just a guy who's a coach, teacher, and Eric Bovaert, same thing, just good guys.
Here's Colliker, hard drive. Goes cross-court here to Dressler. The leaner off the glass a little too hard, but he's there to tip in his own miss.
This is really good offense. The ball goes side to side. We talked about it yesterday. The ball got stuck on one side early and actually late in the last 10 minutes for Chaminade. But this time they're moving the ball, going side to side, spreading the defense, and making the defense move, not just stand around.
Mohamed Ali Abdul-Rahman left it short. Wagner unable to tip it in. And how about the box out by Brett Reed?
That was pretty good. Reed played pretty good yesterday. He didn't have great stats, but he played really well doing things just like that.
Also hit a buzzer-beating three-pointer off of one leg to end the first half. That got Chaminade to within single digits at halftime. They actually cut it down to 6 against Notre Dame early in the second half before the Irish kicked it into gear.
Yeah, the Irish kicked it into gear quick. It felt like it went from about 6 to 15 and from 15 to 28 in a hurry.
And a giveaway there by the Silver Swords. Brooks on the break got stripped by Dantley Walker. Good hands there. And it belongs to Chaminade out of bounds. So 15-17 left to play in the first half. 11-5 advantage for Michigan.
I'm king of the world, baby. The world is my oyster. Or not.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Maui Jim sunglasses. Color, clarity, detail. Maui Jim.
Back here inside Lahaina Civic Center, Michigan in front of Chaminade 11-5 at the 15-17 mark of the opening half here in this consolation bracket matchup. And Maui Jim sunglasses, you speak from experience, they're pretty darn great.
I love them. I'm telling you, I absolutely, whoa, what happened right there? I see these bad boys. These things make me cool.
You do look pretty great.
Now, when I add the cheaters, not so cool. But I can see, hey, these Maui Jims are outstanding. True story. I mean, we walked in there, and I could not believe how great these glasses are. And I thank everybody at Maui Jim for giving Jay Billis and I some shades, and we had a great time meeting all the people.
Meanwhile, the sun continues to glare into the eyes of myself and Dan Shulman. Here's Brad Colliker to take down the lane. He'll draw a whistle against Mo Wagner.
I love that. I love the offense they're running. When you are not as quick as the other team, you've got to move them. You've got to make them recover to you. You've got to get them uncomfortable. Just a little handoff. You see Wagner jumps to the outside, right down the lane, foul. Now, John Beilein's right. I don't know why that was called a foul, but it was, and it was good offense.
So Colliker, 6'8", 225-pound junior from Kaysville, Utah. I mentioned he's a transfer from Colorado State. Part of the 24-win NIT Rams squad from a couple of seasons ago.
I don't know the competition that Chaminade plays. Maybe you do. But this is a good team. This is a well-coached, good team. with really good size, and a couple quick guys, and Austin Pope, who's a very good all-around player. I would imagine this team has to contend for a conference title.
Preseason pick to finish 6th in the Pac West. As you see, Matthews getting loose and getting fouled by Justin Bridges, and he has an opportunity for an old-fashioned three-point play.
Well, this is a staple. You're going to see a back screen right here by Rahman, and here comes Matthews. Really no communication. Pope is responsible, number 0. He's responsible for taking away the basket. He didn't do his job on the back screen. Layup, three-point play, Michigan.
And already 8 points for Matthews, 3 for 3 from the field. Holliker with the shorter Jerron Simmons on him. But Simmons playing some tough defense in that sequence. Near turnover by Pope, but he's able to get it back, takes it to the hoop.
Yeah, really nice. Pope is a good player, man. He is skinny, but he is willing, unafraid. Went to his right hand there, off the wrong foot. That shows you the kid has played a lot of basketball in his life.
Here's John Teskey getting some early minutes here against the Silver Swords.
This going up. Didn't have it in his hand, but you could tell Duncan Robinson thinks he can get shots in this game. Couldn't get anything against LSU. I wouldn't be surprised if next time he touches it, doesn't shoot it on this possession.
Yeah, Robinson, who entered this tournament as the leading scorer for Michigan through the first few games of the season. Just 3 points on 1 of 4 shooting in 28 minutes versus LSU. Will Wade, head coach for the Tigers, admitting after the game, hey, look, that was a big part of our game plan to limit Duncan Robinson.
You know, Sampson, who is a terrific player for LSU, just stayed on top of Robinson. And in staying on top of him, didn't let him come out and get anything easy.
Bridges going at Matthews, a little too strong with the left, and Teskey tears down the board. Abdul Rahman lets it fly. And there's really Matthews on the follow.
That's really good. Matthews came from the left side, and when the ball spun out, just reacted quicker to the right side. Very good instincts by Matthews.
Shy for 3, that one in and out. Offensive rebound, Colliker, and it gets spanked away by guess who? Charles Matthews. Doing a little bit of everything here in the early portion of this one. Pope. Can't find the range from up close. It stays here with the Silver Sword.
All right, I got to tell you, I root for Pope. Can I tell you why? Because Pope came up and thanked me for saying nice things. Watch Matthews get up here. Really quick, off 2 feet. Wow! You know what I liked about it? May have been goaltending, but the referees, they kind of looked at each other and didn't guess. If they got it wrong, they got it wrong, but they weren't going to guess on it.
You were saying about Austin Pope, however?
Well, he came over and he's like, hey, Dan, thanks for saying a lot of nice stuff about me. How do you not like that? Where everybody expects it, he was thanking me. So I got to root for him.
Colliker hitting the short jump hook.
Colliker is a good player. If they can get the ball down there on the block and he gets to the middle of the floor, he's going to score a lot of points in this game.
Chaminade within 5 here, closing in on 12 minutes in the first half. Robinson, a little show and go, and he finishes on the lay-in.
Yeah, but that wasn't bad defense by Colliker. Colliker is told to come out and over-recover on Duncan Robinson and make him put the ball on the floor. He did his job, but nobody helped him out by getting in front of Robinson.
Shive not looking to pull the trigger there on that three-point opportunity here. Makes the extra pass to Nick Anderson, and he is way short on that 3 try.
Shive should have shot. This going up, I think, too.
A deep 3 try by Robinson. Oh, yes.
His range is limitless because he keeps his elbow so firmly under the ball and lifts it. The higher you shoot it, the farther you can shoot it out from.
Not a good sign. Eric Bovard calls for a timeout.
Well, Eric Bovard needs one because you got to have, what are your hands? Get your hands up against the shooter, people.
You're watching ESPN's Feast Week presented by Lowe's.
So here at the Maui Gym Maui Invitational in the 18th hole, I got about 60 yards to the hole, a little bit of wind. Everything breaks to the ocean, even though we're on an island. I'll take a sand wedge. It is hard to find good help here in Maui. Perfect.
I don't know how that stayed out.
Well, we definitely know what Billis is doing at the moment. We welcome you back to the Maui Gym Maui Invitational on another spectacular day here on the island of Maui. A 10-point advantage, largest lead here of the opening half for Michigan over Chaminade in this consolation bracket matchup.
4 for 4, 1 for 1 from 3, 1 for 1 from the free throw line. Charles Matthews, 10 points, 5 rebounds. Having a great tournament. Absolutely fantastic.
Noah Leahy, Dan Dockage here courtside and behind the Civic Center. The drive by Brett Reed, and he is rudely met. And zooming to the other end of the floor is Jerron Simmons. But again, the mess is cleaned up by Charles Matthews.
I'm telling you, he is running end to end. That was a nice move by Simmons. Just didn't get it to fall. But, man, if you try to watch Matthews off the ball in transition, he flies down the floor.
I mean, what does it say that as a freshman, he only played 10 minutes a game for Kentucky?
Honest to goodness, it tells you how good Kentucky's players are. I mean, Charles Matthews can play anywhere in the country.
Michigan shooting 64% from the field through the first 9.5 minutes, compared to 23% for the Silver Swords.
Ooh, great back cut by Matthews, missed it.
Isaiah Rivers, number 4, out there on the floor for the Wolverines as well. Here's Simmons with 3 on the shot clock. Driving past Reed. Another miss from up close.
Well, he did what he needed to do. He got past Reed, saw the matchup, stayed low, and just not able to get over the front of the rim.
Simmons, the grad transfer from Ohio, first-team All-MAC, would have probably been the front runner for Conference Player of the Year had he stayed for his final year of eligibility.
That's where the fifth-year transfer rule is so tough on mid-majors.
And that one twirls in out of the palm of Eric Shive.
Eric Shive is a good player. Like, Eric Shive can shoot it. Eric Shive can go down on the block, has good hands, good touch, willing defender.
We'll have a foul defensively called against Anderson. Well, day 2 coverage of our 2017 Maui Gym Maui Invitational. One more game coming your way later tonight. It is 13th ranked Notre Dame facing LSU. It's the final semifinal matchup of the day coming up on ESPN. And of course, Wichita State already punching a ticket to tomorrow night's championship. That's at 10 Eastern on ESPN2. So as expected on that side, we'll see if Notre Dame can follow suit. But this is a different LSU Tiger squad under Will Wade.
You know, really fun, too. Their bench last night exploded. And Will was great in the press conference. I had a chance to talk to him after, just standing around. What a great win for he thought his program and the kids' confidence. But they're going against the Notre Dame team with Matt Farrell and Bonzie Colson that are not afraid of challenges. Oh, nice pass.
That was a beautiful drop-off and the throwdown for Wagner.
Yeah, that was Xavier Simpson. Now, he's the third point guard in for Michigan. We saw Brooks, the freshman. We saw Simmons, and now Simpson. Simpson wants to get in the rotation, pass the ball, and defend like crazy. Because right now, he's not a shooter. He will be, but he's not yet.
Holliker gets it outside to Walker. And when he walks into the gym, he is within his standard range. And a foul after the rebound by Colliker.
Watch his left-handed pass. Stays low, whips it around, and Wagner wide open. And the reason Wagner's wide open is everybody has to stay with shooters. Now, if Chaminade wants to adjust to that, number 2, Livers, you got to play off of him and let him shoot the basketball. I'm sorry, Poole is in now. You got to make him a shooter.
3 try by Pope from the left corner. And the rebound corralled by Wagner. Here comes Ibby Watson in the game, number 23 for Michigan.
Ibby Watson, ultra athletic, has been making shots in practice. He's got, yeah, there you go. Just too late getting it to him.
Xavier Simpson couldn't quite find the alleyway to work it to Wagner. But how much does the notion of, like in football, if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any. How much does that apply in a situation like Michigan trying to work out at point guard?
It's really different
And that's a three ball from Jordan Poole, the freshman from Milwaukee.
There you go. Jordan Poole didn't get in yesterday. He's bringing back short shorts, reminiscent of 1980s when we used to suffer through those. But good for John Beilein. Look, he couldn't have been happy. He expected to win that game yesterday, so he's putting in some different guys. Back to your point, what happens, I think, in basketball. Here you go.
This is Poole off to the races.
That's a pretty nice 2 minutes for a kid right there.
And that forces another timeout by Eric Bovaird and the Chaminade Silver Swords reeling as they see the Wolverines building a 30-13 advantage.
Hey, how about you just come in the game, you knock in a three, and then you get your first collegiate dunk on the big stage. Good for Jordan Poole.
The college basketball holiday schedule, PK80, presented by State Farm. This is the motion bracket. How you like the layout on this side?
I like it a lot. Duke, tremendous. Florida has played really well. The Zags, but Ohio State 4-0. I am biased because my son plays for the Buckeyes. I picked him to go to the Final Four. Maybe I picked him for the Final Four of this bracket. I'm not sure which Final Four, but... Hey, Mo Bamba for Texas and Kamar Baldwin at Butler are two really good players in that matchup.
So Michigan up 30-13 here on Chaminade. Wolverines shooting 67% from the field. Silver Swords at 25%. That's Shive unable to get the roll. The rebound off to Poole.
Poole pretty fast here.
Poole going coast to coast. Finish not there, though.
Well, you can tell John Beilein talked about attacking in the 12 or 15 hours or whatever it's been since they played. I mean, they have taken the ball the length of the court. We saw it with Matthews. We saw it there with Poole. So obviously, that's what the coach emphasized.
Dressler able to take it right into the big fellow, Mo Wagner, and he gets the bucket.
Mo Wagner was just late. He didn't square his shoulders and cut Dressler off. He did a good job of raising his hands, but Dressler is a really nice-looking player. Was able to finish over the 6'10 Wagner, although he told me he was 6'11.
Here's Xavier Simpson controlling, one of 3 point guard options for John Beilein. And I asked you prior to that last time out, as you see the traveling violation called against Ibi Watson.
Well, we're going to talk about that, but let me show you right here. Wagner should have been off and cut off Dressler. He gets there late. Dressler does a good job. Look at his chin. He might have been on the ground, but who cares? Watch his chin stay on the rim right there. His head is up, and he's able, because his chin is on the rim, to get the ball over the front of the rim. Don't drop your head or don't keep your head forward with your eyes up. Raise your chin. It lifts your whole body.
Dressler, free throw line jumper not there. Here comes Simpson now, leading the break for Michigan.
Well, your question about point guard play, you know, football is different. Football as a quarterback, you've got to lead the locker room. You've got to own the locker room. There's so much stuff there. Basketball, you don't mind having 2 or 3 guys just because it creates competition every day in practice. You know, if people always ask me, what was the best thing about Bob Knight as a basketball coach? And I tell them 2 things. One was preparation, and the other was he rewarded you if you practiced hard, if you got after it every day. And that's what having 2 or 3, in this case, solid players lends itself to.
Wagner going to pick up the foul. That's his second personal. As you get a good look at John Beilein in his 11th season.
Yeah, he's telling his team all of a sudden we're not keeping it simple. And what he means by that is on the defensive end, people aren't jumping to the ball. And jumping to the ball means if I'm defending you and you pass it to your right, then I immediately jump, and paraphrasing a little bit, but move to the right, my left. So what they're doing is they're kind of staying with their own man. It's a very simple concept that most coaches have. Jump to the ball defensively is not being done by Michigan.
See some of the resume of John Beilein, last year becoming the winningest head coach in program history.
Best coaching job I've ever seen. His 3rd year at West Virginia, taking them to the Elite Eight. I was the West Virginia coach for 10 days before he got there. And the mess that they had, they cleaned a lot of it up in the 10 days, but John inherited it and did an unbelievable job.
Brooks tries a 3 from straight on. Left it short. And the diminutive Justin Bridges gets it ahead to Nick Anderson. Bridges will get a look from the left wing and splashes it through.
Hey, that was great offense. That was fantastic. Danley Walker just kept the ball moving, got into the lane, found the next, and Brooks knocked it in.
Chaminade going small, much smaller than what we saw on day one, with Anderson, Walker, and Bridges all out there.
Better find him if you're going to play his own.
And that's going to be a whistle against the Wolverines on the rebound. They're going to get Matthews on this one. So a little 6-0 Chaminade burst just to try to get back into the mix here prior to halftime.
Look how the ball keeps going. The ball gets passed out. Walker drives. The ball stays moving. Eventually finds the leading scorer, Bridges, and he knocks it out. I don't care who you are. I don't care how quick you are. That is hard to defend.
Bridges turns the corner against Brooks. Just trickles off the rim. Reed can't follow it up. And now Brooks comes out of the pack with it. Robinson leaves it for Teskey.
That's pretty good. Teskey ran right down Main Street, right down the middle of the floor, and Robinson delivered late.
John Teskey, 7'1" sophomore from Medina, Ohio, was challenged by John Beeline to just play tougher defense, and he obliged certainly against Southern Miss. Went for his first career double-double, 10 points, 11 rebounds a couple of games ago.
Yeah, and he got that opportunity because he came in against Central Michigan, turned the game around. They were scuffling a little bit, Michigan was.
Pope, with 2 on the shot clock, clangs it off the heel. Anderson saves it. Reed corrals it. And then it's taken away by Matthews. And Wolverines have the numbers. And a foul committed by Bridges as Abdur Rahman was getting ready to tear to the hoop. So the Wolverines enjoying a 32-19 advantage over host Chaminade. 3:55 to go in the first.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter.
John Brickley, Seth Greenberg, Jay Williams in the studio. Coming up on the Land Rover halftime report, Michael Porter Jr. done for the year. We'll get to that news for Missouri. Meanwhile, Texas A&M rolling in the Legends Classic.
I'm just saying, Robert Williams, after second game back after suspension, 21-6. Why are you looking at him? I got it out.
I got it out. You get it out. Dan Dockage, the Big Ten, a little shaky this weekend. Northwestern, Iowa, Penn State. What's going on with the Big Ten D-squared?
On our podcast. I do. The Big Ten, I put that out on Twitter today. Iowa State loses 2 games. I mean, what do you do? Iowa, excuse me. Northwestern crushed, and I mean destroyed by Texas Tech. You know, but hey, Seth, you and I both know, man, you got to say it. Michigan State's the greatest team in the history of the world, or else every Sparty fan gets all insecure and all over you. Michigan State's the greatest team in the history of America, rivaling the 76 Hoosiers. If you don't say it, man, Sparty will kill you. Them guys, them in the Big Blue Nation, they're unbelievable, those 2 fan bases. The hate that comes from them is unbelievable.
You're not saying that you are confronted by some of that on social media from time to time, are you?
Well, Michigan State, not only social media, but I mean, there's been a bunch of threats to me personally. What are you doing, people? It's a basketball game. Greatest team in the history of the world, Michigan State. So, Seth, don't talk bad about the Big Ten, man. Ever.
Now you're covered.
Oh, yeah, I'm covered, because you got to say it.
Bridges got smothered and then fell out of bounds with the basketball in his clutches.
I'll tell you what, one of the things that has to be taught in college basketball, Kanoa, is hands up. Like, they will let you get a body if you just show your hands up and jump. And Michigan's well schooled in it. Most teams are pretty well schooled in that little movement.
Abdur Rahman pulls up from the elbow and rattles it home.
He's so good in there. He is so good when he gets in the lane, fishing around, getting buckets. He has a knack. Whenever I see a guy that does that, I always say the same thing, man. He played a lot of unsupervised basketball. He just played with guys in the park, his buddies in the driveway. Whenever a guy can just make plays like that.
And a turnover for Chaminade. Michigan shooting the ball at a 58% clip at the moment compared to 25% for Chaminade. And that tells you the story right there.
Well, I think John Beeline's got to be pretty happy with the effort. I don't, you know, as a coach, you're never totally satisfied, but he's got to be happy with his team's attention and effort.
Teske finishes and one.
He's got to be happy with Brooks, too. He went around the corner, got a high ball screen against the zone, and found Teske.
Well, you lose on day one of the tournament, and so the emphasis becomes let's win the next two games, and he's getting an opportunity to play some of the younger guys and maybe rest up a little bit for tomorrow's third game.
And you've seen this. You know, you come here or anywhere else, you got to win 2 games. You know, you just do. It's like, if we can't win the championship, we've got to get 2. So I think that on top of that, when you play this game, look, Michigan should win this game. Let's be honest coming in. But you want your team to play well. You want to feel like you got something out of this game.
Good job wrestling for the offensive board there by Pope. Turned around shot over Brooks, and Brooks commits the foul. Getting a little too close for comfort, according to the officiating crew.
The one frustration with Beeline will be the defensive backboard. They're going to have good numbers, but too many times the ball has been tapped around or Chaminade has gotten around the block out.
So Austin Pope at the free throw line. Works well, right? You're playing basketball for a Catholic institution. Your last name is Pope, and you're the best player on the squad.
All right. I love the kid, man. He is a nice kid. He plays hard. As I said yesterday, unafraid against whoever he had to guard. He guarded Bonzie Colson. He guarded Matt Farrell.
Brooks steps into a three. Oh, that one went all the way down and then popped back out. Last touched out of bounds by Matthews.
You and I have seen, rarely does a ball come out of these rims. If you want to feel good about yourself as a shooter, come to the Lahaina Civic Center and shoot around. Everything goes in.
Some of the softest rims in the land.
Baby.
Under 2 minutes to play here in the first half. Shive passes up on the three. It's Colliker going to the jump hook again.
I like him, and I like Shive on the block. Look, every game's different. You got to play this game, and those two guys have been effective, getting great looks when they've gone down on the block.
Colliker, an all-tournament selection at the Hawaii-Alaska Challenge, which was played last week. Chaminade picking up a couple of wins over Alaska Fairbanks and Alaska Anchorage. Coverage of the Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis starts Wednesday with quarterfinal action. We'll see 3 top 20 teams. Number 2, Arizona, 5th ranked Villanova, and number 18, Purdue. Yes, the Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis.
I don't know about you, but I'd feel pretty cool with my Maui gym shades on a Bad Boy mower, cutting grass. Hey, look, Purdue, I heard Jay say it this morning, and he couldn't be more right. Purdue is Final Four good. The beating they gave Marquette at Marquette when Howard and Rousey were making threes, and Purdue just wore them down with big old Haas inside, and Dakota Mathias and P.J. Thompson and Edwards. They got 2 Edwards. Final Four good at this point. Of course, it's only November.
It's never too early to start speculating.
My wife says, you are the king of hyperbole. Everything's the greatest. Everybody's a champ.
Dressler in the deep corner. 5 seconds to shoot. Bentley Walker drops it off to Colliker, who hits the deck hard after drawing the whistle.
Well, Dantley Walker has 1 basket, right? He got it against Notre Dame. Right, he got his first bucket inside the three-point line, right?
Yes.
First shot inside the three-point line.
He hadn't even attempted a field goal inside the arc.
But he's comfortable taking it in there. Like, he's comfortable, and you know, because he's a shooter, you've got to respect him and come up on him, and he's twice gotten into the lane and found somebody, this time for a free throws, the other time for a 3 from Bridges.
Livers picking up that last foul. Walker is a guy who is the all-time leading scorer in Nevada prep history. Scored over 3,300 points at Lincoln County High School. Scored 73 in a single game.
Ever since one of those ball kids scored like 93 when nobody played defense and he just hung out and everybody made a big deal about it. I got to see the film on a 73-pointer. It changed my view. I got to see the tape on this.
It sounds good regardless.
Right.
But you're right. There may be nuance to it. Here's Teskey. Gets it left corner here to Brooks.
Well, if they skip it, they got a 3. There it is.
Abdul Rahman will try it and knock it down.
Abdul Rahman is so athletic. You know, you talk to people in Michigan, there's nobody more athletic than him.
Shive pumps his way past Teskey. Misses from up close, but it's going to be a whistle against Michigan on the rebound.
You got to skip it. Michigan's very good at it. The defense all came towards the ball, and Rahman just stood weak side knowing that it's a team game with Michigan. They found him. He drilled it.
Abdul Rahman with 9. Matthews leading the way for the Wolverines with 12. Going to the free throw line for Chaminade is Eric Shive. Transfer from Yuba College in Marysville, California. 17 points, 5 rebounds in the losing effort to Notre Dame.
I thought he was very good in that game. I thought he was very calm. You know, he could play for Notre Dame. I'm not saying he'd be a starter, but with his skill, with his hands, he could play major college basketball and be a contributor to a lot of good teams.
So shot clock is off. Wolverines have an opportunity for the last possession here. 41-25. Michigan in front. And the timeout will be taken as John Beilein's going to try to draw something up here. 14.4 left to play in the first half. We'll see how the Wolverines look coming out. It's all good now.
All good.
Welcome back to Lahaina Civic Center as Michigan calling for a timeout. John Beilein talking things over here for this last possession. What do you think we're going to see?
Well, you're going to see a zone, so you're going to see a ball screen either side here late in the clock. Well, they switched to man-to-man, so you'll see an up screen, high ball screen, drive it towards Robinson if you can.
Matthews from straight on. Yes.
How good has he been?
Wow. 15.7 rebounds good in this first half. And Michigan with the 19-point advantage going into the locker room.
Well, he's been something. He has had a great tournament. And John Beilein's got to be happy with the way his team competed, except on the defensive backboard. I would expect you'll see Michigan to play much better on the defensive backboard.
So Charles Matthews doing Charles Matthews things again. And at the end of the first half, 44-25 Michigan. Stay tuned for the Land Rover halftime report. You're watching ESPN's Feast Week presented by Lowe's. Another picturesque day here in the islands and in the consolation bracket. Michigan on top of Chaminade, 44-25 at halftime. We welcome you back to the Maui Gym Maui Invitational. And inside the Lahaina Civic Center, we are closing in on second half action as the Wolverines in front of the Silver Swords. Wichita State already in the championship matchup. They'll await the winner of the later semifinal, Notre Dame, in that one. We'll now get to this first half here. Michigan, it was yet another performance by Charles Matthews. He was perfect from the field.
Yeah, he was terrific. 6 for 6 from the field. And Michigan, I thought, gave John Beilein pretty good effort, except on the defensive backcourt. But this guy here has been terrific. 28 yesterday in a losing effort against LSU. He came right out and did things that a leader has to do. After a loss, somebody's got to step up and go get it done. That was a heck of a block. Somebody's got to get going, and he ended the half with this, and Charles Matthews has established himself right now as Michigan's go-to guy.
Career-high 28 points, 8 rebounds in the loss to LSU last night. LSU taking on 13th-ranked Notre Dame in the last semifinal. That's the capper for this day 2 schedule at the Maui Gym Maui Invitational. Matthews tonight, 15 points, 7 rebounds. You see the numbers pretty lopsided here to this point, Dan.
Yeah, Michigan, again, offensively really good. Defensively not bad, but again, I would expect you to see Michigan make a better effort on the defensive backcourt.
4 seconds to shoot. Austin Pope tears down the lane, too hard off the glass. The follow-up by Shive, no. Huge scramble for the rebound. Finally, Pope gets it up in and one.
Like I said, Michigan will not give a better effort on the defensive backcourt. They were pounded right there. Chaminade just outworked Michigan. Chaminade has big guys, but this kid Pope, he misses on the drive. But watch, he gets right back into the play. He's watching, he's reading. You see him under the bucket, and then he goes and gets it and just flips it in. Tough angle. Austin Pope is a good player, really good player.
And Pope leading this second half charge here for Chaminade. 6 points for him. He's got 4 rebounds. And we got a whistle called against Grant Dressler.
You know what, though? That's a good move by Dressler. You have to do something to make Charles Matthews uncomfortable, and getting after him and making it difficult, whether you foul or not, to catch the ball is a good start.
So both teams, Michigan and Chaminade, coming off of day 1 losses here at the Maui Gym Maui Invitational. For Michigan, they had to deal with the memory of giving up a 9-point advantage with just about 5 minutes left against LSU. In fact, they went without a field goal in the last 3 minutes of that game last night.
Yeah, you won't see that very often out of a John Beilein team. You just won't. They'll get good shots, and they have good shooters. So that's something I'm sure John discussed at length into the night, into the morning.
Brooks down the lane, drew the contact, and he'll shoot free throws. What do you think about Eli Brooks, the 6-foot freshman from Spring Grove, Pennsylvania, out of Spring Grove Senior High School, scored 2,400 points as a prep player, just under 30-point average as a senior. But he has now played the crunch minutes last night, has sort of been given the reins here on day 2 on Maui.
He has, and I like what he did right there. He could have taken a 3. He could have forced something up, but he took his time. He drove the lane, got fouled, and what that does for Michigan is it kind of settles it down, because let's be honest, to start this half, Chaminade has no quit in them, and they pounded Michigan a little bit in the first minute and a half on the backboard, but that settles it down a little bit for Michigan.
And here's a turnover. Muhammad Ali Abdur-Rahman bringing it the other way. Up top, it's Mo Wagner. Splash.
Tell you what, Robinson had a 3, gave it up to Abdur-Rahman, who had a 3. Then he might have been able to jump over and had a 2, but they know Mo Wagner can make that shot against any kind of pressure. They got it to him top of the key, drilled it.
So the Chaminade Silver Swords, the host team here in the Maui Gym Maui Invitational, as Brett Reed tried to clear space for himself, nothing doing.
That was pretty good. Really good, actually, by Brooks. Brooks is a strong-built kid. He was able to take Reed on.
Brooks open 3, left wing. Short. Left it way short.
Came out of his, it's kind of interesting. He and Robinson both have shot balls that just went straight up out of their hands, not at the rim, just up.
This one will belong to the Silver Swords. 35th anniversary of Chaminade's legendary upset of top-ranked Virginia. That was in 1982 at the Blaisdell Arena in Honolulu. Of course, that Virginia team which featured the great Ralph Sampson. But it was the group of Chaminade Silver Swords, part of the NAIA at the time. Richard Hainish, Tim Dunham, Tony Randolph had a team-high 19 points in that game, led by head coach Merv Lopes, who's in the house. 85 years of age, is still looking fantastic. Nice drive by Charles Matthews. But that really spawned this idea of the Maui Gym Maui Invitational, and here we are now, the 34th annual here in Lahaina.
And you've got to remember, Ralph Sampson was a senior. This wasn't beating a bunch of older kids beating freshmen. This was the best team in the country that had just been to Tokyo, had just beaten Akeem Olajuwon, Clyde Drexler, had just beaten a very good Utah team, Georgetown with Patrick Ewing, and on their way home they thought they'd stop here and play, and it was a fluke, let's be honest, but Tony Randolph was really good. I thought it was cool. It was like NCAA championship. They won, and the guys on the basket cutting the nets down. I thought it was really cool when you look back at it.
Brooks missing from long range. Several members were recognized at halftime yesterday of the Chaminade Notre Dame game. Pope was thinking nasty thoughts, but he got turned back, denied access.
This is in.
Robinson open for 3.
You knew that was in. You could just tell with Duncan Robinson by the way he runs. When he does everything quick and sharp, he makes. When he's slow into his shot, when he's slow getting down the floor, he has a tendency to shoot short.
Walker.
Oh, man.
That one was Kapalua, maybe?
And John Beeline's looking at Charles Robinson like, yeah, you had your hand up, but you didn't jump. Robinson's like, hey, look, coach, I had my hand up. I was 28 feet away. What are you doing?
Walker is not shy, that's for sure. The opposite, in fact. Matthews kicks it left corner. Robinson got it again.
But that was really good by Matthews. Matthews got low, got into traffic, and intentionally set it up, knowing he was driving towards Robinson.
Duncan Robinson, I'm sure feeling good. Seeing some buckets drop here in Maui.
Yeah, 14 points a night before yesterday, and Brandon Sampson just took him out of anything he wanted to do deep offensively.
57-34, Michigan on top. Pope tries a three. With the shot clock winding down, Robinson clears the board. He'll try another three. If you're feeling it, you're feeling it.
Yeah, and good for Matthews. Matthews found him.
Walker, nice smooch off the glass.
That's two. He's 2 for 2 inside the three-point line all year. One yesterday, one today.
8 points for Walker. Colliker leading the way for Chaminade with 11. And Charles Matthews still perfect from the floor. 7 for 7. Trying to add to it. Gets fouled on the way. 14:06 to play. 21-point lead for the Wolverines.
Hey, you want to play for John Beeline? Find the shooter. Maybe it's Mo Wagner. Maybe it's Abdul Rahman. Or maybe, and usually it's this kid here, Duncan Robinson. Hey, find him. They found him 2 times in a row, and he delivered.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by Lowe's. Hurry in today for huge savings on all things winter.
Day 2 of our coverage of the 2017 Maui Jim Maui Invitational. One more game coming your way later tonight. 13th ranked Notre Dame taking on LSU in a semifinal matchup coming up on ESPN. 6th ranked Wichita State is already into tomorrow night's championship. 10:30 Eastern on ESPN2. What do you think about the last semifinal matchup?
Well, let me ask you. The last semifinal matchup is going to be great. You're going to see 2 point guards at the opposite ends of their careers. Right? I mean, Matt Farrell is a senior leading Notre Dame, along with Bonzie Colson, of course. Tremont Waters, spectacular last night. You know what was even cool about it, Kanoa? He was spectacular late.
Yeah.
A freshman, this environment, you know, he's only played against Elkhorn State and Samford. No disrespect, but that's not last night. That's not ESPN. That's not Michigan. And he was great. Not good. Great late in the game.
15 of his 21 points coming in that second half. And it was an LSU run that he in large part led en route to the Tigers' victory. Shive free throw line shot trickles in.
I'm telling you, you let him get his wrist under the basketball, he's going to make. He caught that off balance, didn't have any footwork, and he just flipped it in. That's what he does.
Meanwhile, on Notre Dame's side against these Chaminade Silver Swords on day 1, combined 50 points for Matt Farrell and Bonzie Colson.
You know, and they did it kind of easy. Farrell came out with it and just kind of dominated things early. Nice move here.
Wagner up and under.
Wagner really good patience right there. But Farrell came out and kind of unloaded, you know, on Chaminade early. And then Colson kind of just played throughout the game. But I think it's going to be a fantastic guard matchup.
Shive taking it out a little deeper this time. And it's Matthews collecting it. Pushes it ahead here to Jerron Simmons. Robinson. Wagner taps it out, but it's retrieved by Justin Bridges, and Chaminade working it ahead. Dressler a little too far underneath off the feed from Colliker. Wagner stopping and popping, can't hit.
That's a tough shot. He sprinted into that shot. That's a tough shot right there. You make that, you got to go to the NBA. You just got to go.
Wagner did go through the NBA draft process last offseason before electing to return to Michigan. And Shive able to finish right in front of the rim. I imagine you like that final decision for Wagner.
Yeah, I think it was great. Look, you cannot make a bad decision if you're willing to listen. And Wagner went and worked out, learned some stuff about himself, needed to improve his body, needed to understand playing two things defensively, ball screen, then back to his man a little bit better. Oops.
Charles Matthews tearing to the hoop for the throwdown.
But I think for everybody involved, including the NBA, Mo Wagner made the absolute right choice. They give you so much information that unless you're just listening to some clown, you can't really screw it up.
Dressler for three. Got it.
Now, I got to tell you, if I am John Beilein's staff, I am hostile with Matthews because Matthews totally fell asleep, should have had a steal, and then he realized he fell asleep and didn't get after the shooter, just kind of let him shoot over.
Abdul-Rahman.
Yeah, not much to get mad at Matthews about, let's be honest. The kid is leading them, and he's 8 for 8, and he's dunking, he's blocking shots. But, hey, you got to play perfect, Matt Barkley.
Michigan really working in the three-point shot here in the second half as well.
Do you think our producer, Matt Barkley, you know, we call him Matt Barkley because of the quarterback. Do you think that the quarterback, Matt Barkley, gets called Matt Bartley because of the producer at ESPN?
I would imagine on a daily basis.
Yes! Nice dunk, by the way, Matt Barkley. Bartley. Bartley.
John Berkeley in the studio with an update as Wisconsin-UCLA down to the wire. Aaron Holiday giving the Bruins the lead with the three.
Put the ball in your senior's hand, let him make a play.
And then for Wisconsin, they would answer Demetric Trice going through. It's a one-point game. There's over 30 seconds to go. That game on ESPN. Baylor and Creighton guys to follow.
Back here in Lahaina, Maui, it's Michigan on top of Chaminade, 66-43 at the 11:08 mark of the second half. And the Irish have arrived. Notre Dame coming off of the bus. 13th ranked Fighting Irish taking on the LSU Tigers. That's coming up on ESPN. Last game of the day for the final slot in tomorrow night's championship, where the winner will meet 6th ranked Wichita State. Wichita State taking care of business against Marquette. Golden Eagles finding themselves in some foul trouble early, and Wichita State never looked back.
No, you know what? Tomorrow, whoever it is, whether it's Waters against the press of Wichita State or whether it's Farrell against the press of Wichita State, that is going to be an incredible game. I mean, both teams, all three of them, play with terrific passion. They play hard. This means a lot, particularly to LSU, as Coach Will Wade is trying to establish a program.
A steal by Austin Pope. Pope gets it back. And an open look for Anderson. Off the mark. Got to hit those if you stand a chance against a team like Michigan.
Oh, we're lobbing.
And it's Wagner dunking.
Tell you what, Abdul-Rahman plays at so much of a calm pace. Like, he just makes the game as easy as anybody you're going to see. And he should. He's a senior, and he's a very good player and all that, and he's played a lot. But you know what? He lobbed it, dunked, just ran right back down the floor, started guarding.
So the Wolverines opening up a 68-45 advantage here, closing in on 10 minutes to play. This consolation bracket game. Pope off the glass.
You cannot let Pope go left. He saw Mo Wagner come out on him and just whipped him going to his strong hand.
8.6 rebounds for Austin Pope. Abdul-Rahman, quick response.
Just easy. I'm telling you, just easy. He has always been a bit understated with the Wolverines, but if you notice, John Beilein always starts him, always sticks with him. He's always in late because he's just a good, solid basketball player that's a terrific athlete.
This is the 4th appearance for Michigan in the Maui Jim Maui Invitational, but first ever meeting between these two programs. And we're going to have a defensive foul called against Jordan Poole. Michigan, of course, coming off of a season where they were one of the remarkable stories in college basketball. Trying to do it again here this year.
Yeah, and, you know, we'll get into that, but right here, look at Rahman. He just sees, floats it up there, and then runs back on defense. No showboating, no me. That's the beauty of Michigan's program. There's no me. It's all about we. It's no I.
Well, there's two eyes in Michigan, but they don't play that way. As Walker tries a deep run, that's off the heel. Colliker able to gather, and they'll reset. But yeah, a truly almost Hollywood script-like story for the Wolverines in the postseason last year. Pope doing it again as they were involved in a runway plane crash. Very scary situation. And in the days after that would go on to make that fantastic run through the Big Ten tournament. They would make it all the way to the Sweet 16 of the dance, and your son Andrew, a part of all of that.
I don't think you'll ever see anything like that again. I really don't. Look at that now. I really don't. The worst of times. I mean, plane crash. I get a phone call. Dad, we've been in a plane crash. And the phone goes dead, and now I can't get back a hold of my son. It was awful. In fact, I'm getting chills talking about it right now. And then John Beilein and his staff did an unbelievable job of getting people off the plane first, getting people away from the plane, gathering the team. They didn't even know if they were going to come to the tournament. People were so shook up. But, man, playing your practice gear, you take the worst of times and you make it into the best of times was a testament to a coaching staff, leadership, Derek Walton, all these guys. It's incredible.
Here was the timeline.
That could have gone bad when you talk to people so many different ways. My son said this to me, if you can imagine this. He said, Dad, I knew we were in trouble when I looked out and we crashed through a fence. Like, what?
Yeah.
And, you know, and then they got in their practice gear because all of their gear was in the belly of the plane. And you know what? They just had great leaders. Zach Irvin, great leader. Derek Walton, great leader. I can't even begin to tell you how that brought, the weirdest thing ever, it brought this group together, and frankly, it's going to be something that these kids have a bond with for the rest of their lives with the coaches, and everybody just banded together. Mark Donnell, who's at Clemson now, my man, tearing open doors, and one of the managers, and I wish I could remember his name, opening doors, making sure, because they had the band on there, they had the cheerleaders on there, they had all kind of people on there, and just a remarkable effort by everybody, including John Beilein.
I mean, it put things in perspective, right? I mean, any adversity that they would meet with through the Big Ten tournament or the NCAA tournament obviously paled in comparison to what they experienced as a group.
You know, I asked other parents, I said, how'd your kids handle it? This is going in.
Not quite, from Walker.
I said, how'd your kid handle it? I said, we didn't hear from them until we knew, you know, once they got away and they were safe. My son called me as they were getting off the plane, and I couldn't find him. You know, and it was like, I told my son, we got a new rule. New rule. Tell me you're safe. Like, don't bury the lead. Dad, I'm safe. I'm getting off a plane. Don't bury the daggone lead of, hey, Dad, how you doing? Or whatever he said. Or, Dad, we've been in a plane crash. No, Dad, I'm fine. Then we've been in a plane crash.
Duncan Robinson hitting that last three for Michigan. He's 4 of 9 from outside the arc, and a foul there in transition. 7:13 left to play here in this second half. 76-51 Michigan. On a lighter note,
that looked like me.
Yeah.
Rick and Seth in the studio. It's gone final at the Hall of Fame Classic. UCLA down to its final possession. Aaron Holiday coming up with your game winner. Scored the last 10 in this game for the Bruins coach.
Game on the line, put the ball in your senior's hands, give him a high bump, and tell him to go make a play. Aaron Holiday delivers, kind of like Dan Dockich did back in the day for Nike.
You wouldn't let me shoot, Seth. I mean, well, seriously, looking back on it, why did I even pay attention? Should have just shot.
Well, Feast Week news and notes. Some really unfortunate news for Missouri. Michael Porter Jr. likely to miss the remainder of the season with the back injury requiring surgery. You just heard about the game-winning shot for UCLA's Aaron Holiday. And at the Progressive Legends Championship, 16th ranked Texas A&M handling business against Penn State, 98-87.
Well, legendary director Pam Lowry thinks Texas A&M is going to win a national championship in football and basketball. Next year football, this year basketball.
Well, this would be a pretty interesting football matchup as well. Notre Dame and LSU. But they're meeting on the hardwood here in the second semifinal of the Maui Invitational. Tigers getting off the bus. They have entered the building, and the anticipation is building as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, if they're a better team, that's an and one right there. He got pushed, Teskey did, but pretty good right there. You got 2 point guards in right now. And both of them, neither of them can really shoot the ball yet. Brooks will. And so finding bigs will get you more playing time under John Beilein.
4 players in double figures for Michigan in this one, led by Matthews, his 21. Abdul Rahman with 17, 14 for Robinson, and Wagner pitching in 10. Wild shot there by Anderson, and the Wolverines still looking to push. Matthews, wow, almost able to finish and one with the left. So Matthews to go to the free throw line. Thanksgiving morning, start your day with First Take at 10 a.m. Eastern on ESPN. They'll get you ready for all 3 NFL games, plus preview college football's rivalry weekend. There'll be some Turkey Day surprises as well. Rest assured. First Take also streaming live on the ESPN app.
You know what, college coaches, I was telling Tom Crean this. Tom, got let go at Indiana. College coach, you never know how great of a holiday Thanksgiving is. Like, you're always preparing for a tournament, maybe flying back from a tournament, maybe going to a tournament, maybe you have 2 practices. But I'm telling you, Thanksgiving is America's greatest holiday, in my opinion. You've got every football you want, college and pro. You've got every basketball you want. You've got hockey on. And you eat and you feed your face like a hog. And then you sleep and nobody complains about it. I didn't know Thanksgiving existed like that. I really didn't. And now,
Robinson left corner elects not to take that shot. The issue now, though, is the Christmas season is starting to extend earlier and earlier. I mean, there are people shopping for Christmas on Thanksgiving Day nowadays.
Can I tell you why Thanksgiving is a great holiday as well, relative to that?
Tip in there by Austin Davis.
You don't have to buy people stuff on Thanksgiving. That's what's the downer about Christmas. You gotta go shopping. The whole idea that, is your Christmas shopping done? There is no Thanksgiving shopping.
That's a really good point.
That's a great point. I don't have to go buy people stuff. Thanksgiving, I just gotta feed my fat face, sit around, eat, sleep, wake up, watch, eat, sleep, watch, sleep, eat, watch, fall asleep, wake up the next day, and do it all again on Friday.
An eventful holiday in the Dockage household, clearly. Double-double, by the way, for Charles Matthews. 22 points, 10 rebounds, 30-point advantage for the Wolverines. On Saturday, the Chaminade coaches and players hosted the annual Adidas Hoops Clinic with over 70 3rd to 8th grade students over at the Dream Court, which is located adjacent to the Lahaina Civic Center, home for the Maui Gym Maui Invitational. The players and coaches working directly with these youngsters as they went through drills, competed. They were even used as props for some of the dunk shenanigans. I'm sure it was fun to be had for all as you take a look at the Chaminade Silver Swords located on Kalaipohakua Hill in Honolulu, Hawaii. The enrollment of just over 2,500. First year of basketball came in 76, 77, but of course, best known on the hardwood for the famous upset of #1 Virginia back in 1982, 35 years ago. And that really was where the idea for this Maui Gym Maui Invitational began. As you see the 3 go in for Jordan Poole.
I must stand corrected. It is, and Mrs. Lowry, I'm sorry, it is Pat Lowry, not Pam Lowry, legendary director. So, Mama Lowry, my apologies.
Yeah, as a member of the broadcast team, you definitely don't want to get the producer or director's names wrong.
No.
They can really make life tough on us.
I don't need any help being made look bad.
Well, we already make it really tough for them, that's for sure. Bridges, nice finish. Oh, but he's called for the offensive foul. Well, Chaminade trying to hang in there.
This is what happens. Like, this is where Michigan, you asked earlier, like, Poole's going to stand in there and take a charge. He got a chance in the first half. Didn't play yesterday, got a chance today and did really well. Scored 5 points very quickly when the game was still to be decided. But you're going to see Austin Davis, you're going to see Poole, you're going to see these guys playing hard, really hard. E.B. Watson's going to play hard for the remainder of this game because they want to get in the rotation. This is an important tournament. This is an important 3 or 4 minutes for these kids.
Drive down the right side of the lane and the finish by E.B. Watson.
Ibby Watson, really talented, has started to make shots, figuring out John Beilein's system, will help this team as the season progresses because he's just too good an athlete, too good a shooter not to.
Nice poke away steal by Xavier Simpson. Livers, hard throw down.
Livers going to be really good. Like, he has a terrific body, a great attitude. He's going to be a defender early, but he's going to end up being a rebounder, scorer, runner, finisher.
Wrestler off the mark there. Again, Chaminade just trying to hang in there, remain engaged here in this. Obviously, this game very out of hand at this point. Livers from the left corner rattles it home. A little more out of hand after that shot. But these two teams have to play again tomorrow. Michigan on track to take on VCU in the 5th place game. And Cal awaits Chaminade tomorrow for 7th place.
Well, Cal's going to have its hands full because I guarantee you Chaminade's going to play hard. But right there, just run the floor. Find a point guard that'll get it to you. Xavier Simpson, great steal and delivery.
ESPN's exclusive presentation of college basketball is brought to you by the Maui Visitors and Convention Bureau and visitmaui.com.
It's time for the play of the game, driven by Continental Tire. Guess who it is? It's Charles Matthews. Little foot fake, goes baseline with the flush. Charles Matthews has been everything he was advertised to be last year in practice. He dominated at times, and he has come out. You see there, 28 last night and 22 today, including 8 for 8 shooting. That ain't a bad day's work.
Nice pickup there for John Beilein, the transfer from Kentucky.
How good is Kentucky? You think that guy couldn't get off the bench, right? I mean, honest to goodness.
Averaged under 2 points per game, 10 minutes per game as a freshman for John Calipari. Bridges got blocked from behind. Reed able to put it up and in.
Now here's what, if you're John Calipari and if you're Chaminade, you just want to see your team finish out these next 3 minutes well, because you play tomorrow and you play a team that is going to be pretty daggone good. So you got to finish this. It always carries over. It's weird, but it does. So you want to finish these last 3 minutes playing the way you have been taught, whether you're Michigan or Chaminade.
That was a pretty nice move there by Xavier Simpson at the other end. Michigan, in its 4th appearance in the Maui Jim Maui Invitational, has now hit its single game high in scoring. Previous mark was 91. They're on 93. Nice move there by Nate Pollard, 7'1" senior. The nephew of Scott Pollard, former Kansas Jayhawk, an 11-year NBA vet, and a throwdown for Austin Davis.
Austin Davis, same thing. Last year on the 2nd team as a red shirt, no real accountability, because let's face it, when you're a red shirt and you become, you can just play. You don't have to worry about minutes. You don't have to worry about, the coaches aren't on you. And he was fantastic in practice. And again, I think here's another guy that you may see help this team later on in this year. Big body, athletic.
Yeah, the stories go. He was a force on that scout team.
Yes, absolutely. It's funny. Before this tournament, I asked my son, who was on the scout team with him, I said, okay, why isn't Davis playing? And he said, well, Teskey has gotten an opportunity against Central Michigan, Central Michigan, and played really well. And then he carried it over against Southern Miss. So that's what you want on your team. You want competition to make you better, and that's what Michigan has. And Michigan doesn't worry about how they play now. They're going to get better and better and better, and they'll be in the mix in the Big Ten as we move through the season.
Jordan Poole hitting the free throw. It's interesting. You pointed this out earlier in the game. We're theorizing that the shorter basketball shorts are coming back.
Yes.
You're starting to see players that are rolling up the shorts at the waistband, and Jordan Poole, Ibby Watson, a couple of the guys that do that.
Well, I'm telling you, back in the day, the short shorts were very attractive. My wife, who is 5'7", 100 and no pounds, right? She wore my college basketball uniform to Halloween. Now, I was 6'5" and 190, but our uniforms were so small that she was able to fit in and fit very well, I must say. Probably better than I ever did in it, right? But that tells you a little something about the shorts and the polyesters and Look at this.
Isaiah delivers another 3 for Michigan. That is the 15th made triple for the Wolverines.
That's what you and I talked about yesterday. They can beat anybody when they're making threes. I mean, look, they're beating Chaminade far worse than Notre Dame beat Chaminade, but it's a hit or miss thing with Michigan. It just is.
Eric Bovaert, not a lot of answers. Team athletically, physically overmatched here, particularly on the wings and in the backcourt.
Yeah, Michigan had real quickness, and John Beilein is not going to allow anything but effort in this game. You know, upset, disappointed in his team, I'm sure, but you know what? He's been around a long time. He knows how to get a team ready.
Wolverines hitting the century mark. Brent Hibbets, number 0, on the floor, and we'll have a whistle against the Silver Swords.
It's going to be interesting if Michigan led the cause for shorter shorts after those guys on the Fab Five claim that they led the cause for longer shorts. I mean, I don't think they're right, but they you know, Jalen Rose and all those guys say they did, so let's go with it. But now, wouldn't it be ironic if right there that becomes the new fashion statement in college basketball?
It all starts with the Wolverines, apparently.
Yeah. Just ask him.
Hibbets able to hit from the free throw line. Appeared in 10 games last year. 102 to 61, what has been a dominating performance for the Michigan Wolverines. And a chance to add to it.
Ooh, almost.
Pass picked off, though, by Massa Swain. Gets it back. Lays it up and in, and one.
Nice. Very nice. Great hustle by Swain. He picked it up, as you said. Went and got himself an and one. Yeah, good for him. Ball's loose, little flip pass, Swain hustling, a little behind the back, little how's your father? Got it back. Nice.
Massa Swain, both parents were Olympians in judo. Dad Mike competed for Team USA, Mom Tanya for Brazil.
Like I tell my son this, see if you agree. Never get into a fight, physical confrontation with somebody you don't know. Like, you look at Swain, right? Just looks like a nice kid.
Sure.
His parents, I'm sure, taught him how to judo people. Is that the right way to put it?
We can go with that.
All right.
That works.
So you sit there and you go, man, don't fight him.
Yeah. It's hard to tell these days.
Right? Like, all of a sudden, he you know, makes you feel bad about yourself, and you realize, wait, this guy's parents were Olympians in judo.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I'm lying on my back here.
How'd that happen?
And the final seconds ticking off the clock here in this consolation matchup. Michigan, the big winners, 102-64 over the Chaminade Silver Swords. Last thoughts here on this matchup.
Well, good for Michigan. Again, they'll come back tomorrow, and they have a chance for 2 wins, what we said. And don't be surprised tomorrow if Chaminade and Cal don't play it right down to the end.
At 10:30 Eastern on ESPN, more coverage of the Maui Invitational. 13th-ranked Notre Dame takes on LSU in a semifinal matchup. Here on ESPN2, we'll bring you Baylor versus Creighton at the Hall of Fame Classic Championship. But first, back to the studio.